All right, Chicago, hot dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, cybersecurity. We're going to recap Cybersecurity Bootcamp here in just a minute, so don't go anywhere.
Dom Kirby, Matt Lee. The game.
All right, happy Wednesday. Welcome to the game on Pax8 Live. We're going to do a bit of a different show today because Security Bootcamp happened last week, and it was a pretty monumentous event for me, at least, and I hope it was for those that attended and joined us for what I would call probably the most ridiculous event I've ever participated in and co-hosted, but definitely probably the most fun and hopefully the most effective. Um, so before we jump into that, don't forget to sign up for Pax8 Beyond. I think there's still some rooms, although we're getting real close to like the auxiliary hotel. Like you might be in the Moab hotel at some point soon if you don't hurry up. So get that done. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Join us on YouTube if you want to join in with the comments. And let's bring on Matt and jump right into the show.
So for those of you in the audience, I literally just ran in this show like 14 seconds ago. So I am so sorry to my production team and Dom and everybody. Um, I'm I don't know how to say no, Dom. I know that might blow your mind, but I was asked to do a talk today at 12, and then they said, "Do you mind repeating that talk right afterwards?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can get that done." So sorry for being a
Sure.
little late, but yeah, I just ran from that stage right back there to right here where my gear was set up and got hooked up. So I'm here. But we had a good time last week, didn't we, Dom? That was a blast.
It was great. I mean, it was fun. I hope it was informative. It felt like it was informative.
Yeah.
We pulled off a lot of storyline things that were tricky to pull off. So I was proud of that. It was a lot of things that had to land for day two to
Well,
work.
why don't you tell people what we did, Dom? Why don't we start with that? Like, what was the premise? Like, help people understand what it was we did.
Well, a lot of people have probably been to one of our boot camps, and I love our boot camps, but they tend to get a smidge preachy, a little too vendor pitchy, whole lot of PowerPoint, like classic event problems, right? So this one was tactical. We have a company, fictitious company called 4T Engineering. They put water in the river, as Marissa put it, or chemicals in the water in the river, as it were.
Yeah.
But we set up a secure environment with our vendor sponsors. Really got to show what the product actually does instead of talk about it on a slide, and then we blew it all up overnight. Right? We literally hacked it. We tore it down. There was some ransomware activity in the morning, but we really got to do. Let's set it up. Let's show you that even with all these great setups, perhaps some poor decisions from a customer, where we run into real problems.
We also walked through one of the interesting challenges, Dom, which is like if you've ever been through an incident, even a pretty straightforward one, it's chaos, right? It's uncertainty.
Complete
You're
chaos.
trying to you're trying to guess what things have happened. You're making conjecture, and so we went a little step further and made them question everything they were seeing, right? Because we were doing 5 kill chains all at once, different attack paths, different attack methods, correlated attack paths. Get this and lateralize. And so what's funny is as the students, let's call it students, maybe victims, whatever you want to call it, but as the victims walked through this on day 2, it was funny to see how they struggled trying to figure out which pieces were related to which pieces. And I think that's the
Yes.
practitioner's dilemma, right, Dom? Like you've been in several of these where we're like, what do we think happened? And then you're wrong afterwards, right? So that was one
Right.
of the things that I liked that we added to this as well, was a real kill chain analysis out of that, but multiple of them.
But you know what my favorite thing was, and it's the first time Pax8's ever done one, so I'm pretty proud of that we pulled it off. We did capture the flag, and there was over 1,800 solves across
Yeah.
our flags.
And
I mean, people were
3,500
into it.
fails, right?
Yeah,
They
there were a lot
tried
of
it a
fails.
lot.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I agree.
yes. You are now under arrest.
That was so good. That guy typed in, "You are now under arrest," at least 100 times. It was so good. The answer was right. He just wasn't wrapping it in the flag properly. But what is a CTF? So for anybody that doesn't know what a CTF is, a capture the flag is a basically usually Jeopardy style, meaning that there's categories, you work through those categories, you work on certain things like cryptography or whatever it may be, and they're meant to teach you as a practitioner kinesthetically. right? They're meant to make you as a practitioner actually get to go turn the wrench and go, oh, that's what it feels like to turn a bolt. Okay, I understand now, right? And so that kind of play. What CTFs usually do, though, is create problems. And I'll say why. When I go to a conference and play a CTF, right? Jason Slagle, myself, Tom Lawrence, and Ed all won the MISC Con, or the Michigan State Security Conference CTF. But the problem with that was when I did that CTF, every single second of the time that I was awake and or not drunk, and even some of it maybe during the latter, I was working on the CTF. I didn't attend a single session. I didn't see a single vendor. I didn't talk to a single vendor. And that's a problem, right? Because the vendors pay for these shows to exist. They expect to get those conversations. But in the converse, if I was to go to those events and go to the sessions, I didn't feel like I could be competitive in the CTF and I wouldn't win. And I like winning. So the problem was that I would be in a situation where I'm either in the CTF or I'm in the conference. And what we tried to do, Dom, was blend the two, right? Because we tried to do what? We tried to tie it to the storyline and other things. You want to speak to that a little bit about the blended CTF, of how this was kind of different?
I would sum it up as we did that in two ways, right? The first way was very blunt. It was like, hey, go
Yeah,
visit this booth and have a conversation and get points, right? And that was intentional. And I think if you've been to a show, you understand that people pay for that show to happen, right? These things aren't
right.
cheap. But we also made sure you had to pay attention to the event to get points in the CTF. So,
Exactly.
Marissa Maldonado was our fake CEO, and her favorite animal was an owl. You had to pick that up out of the storyline during the presentation to get that flag because you had a 1 in 4 chance and we only gave you 2 chances to solve it, right? So integrating things like that. And Spencer, man, he crushed it, and
Oh,
he did a really good job
you
coming
did.
up with vendor related flags. What
Yep.
feature of Sophos does X? That was a really powerful add-on too.
Yeah, and we tried to take the concept of points and gamification help change behavior. And as a way for us
Yeah,
to try to better conferences. I hate conferences where somebody just preaches to me. I want something that helps me learn it. So,
I hate
I
standing
think,
on a stage giving a PowerPoint for 90 minutes. I mean, it's exhausting.
or 5 hours, right? In these cases.
Right? Yeah.
I think we have some cool pictures too from this. So let's do a little bit of memory lane and pop through some of these pictures. We got the Pax8 Bootcamp picture. This was cool because what I wanted to talk about there, if we'll pause for a sec, is the boot camps in general came from a thing you and I did. At least these boot camps, the
Yeah.
security boot camps. Going back to tell story time, Dom and I were sitting there one day, and it was right after COVID was starting to open back up, and conferences had been scheduled, and still people were uncertain. And we had a particular contract that it fell through. Like the whole conference just didn't happen, and we had $70,000 we had spent on a hotel for this. And they came to you and me, Dom, and said, "Hey, do you think you two could put on an event?" What did we have? Like 4 weeks to build a boot
It
camp.
was it was not a lot of time. Yeah.
It weren't, and we demonstrated concepts. And why I brought this up is that was where I got this idea, because I asked the vendors for that to be kinesthetic and demonstrative, meaning I want it to be something that you're doing that I can see, and I want it to be demonstrative of something. Like instead of just saying, here's a feature that helps you VPN something, build a cool, like embarrassing photo of Dom and then hide it behind zero trust so that people can't access it, right? That was what I was asking for.
Right.
Dom, how many of those vendors did what we asked them to do that first time?
So zero, but
It was zero.
but
Zero but.
I did meet two SEs at that particular event who were like, man, I tried, and my marketing team intercepted me.
Yeah. And that was the premise, right, Dom? Because the marketing teams often get in the way of practitioners that know what they want to do, in my opinion. And so the boot camps took it even further this time to say, hey, guess what, Sophos? You don't even get to be on stage. I know you paid a lot of money to be here, but you get no stage time, which is preposterous. And instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use your tool. We're going to show off your tool. We're going to abuse your tool. And we're going to show the failures and the positives. And we're going to make it that way. And as a practitioner myself, I buy that tool, right? Because now I've seen the
Right.
good, the bad, the ugly. I understand it. I can see where it's used in a use case, all of those things. So, all right, we can move on from that one. You tackle this picture. What's going on here?
The storyline I think was key to this because we took you out of the event and into this feeling. You were a 4T employee if you're sitting there in that audience. So you were the CISO, and we deemed you the numpty CISO, and I was the
Yeah, true.
CTO. So I was picking fights with you as you were Googling whether or not it's illegal to use stolen credit cards to buy golf
Whoa,
clubs
whoa, whoa,
from
whoa.
our
It was a
customer
research
list.
project, Dom. It was a research project,
Oh,
okay?
oh, my bad.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
research. Yeah,
research
you got to know these things.
only for research. Yeah, no. And I think at this point we were kind of arguing out a point, and that was the fun of it. We tried to make it like a play, right? And so you and I were
Yeah,
two people as executives disagreeing on what we wanted. And I think in a few shots, I'd point at you and I'm like, "Rrr, rrr." Got
yeah.
really super aggro. So yeah, it was a good conversation. What do we got next? What other fun slides have they picked up for us? I think Spencer is like the
Spencer.
unsung hero. Like if you don't know Spencer or you haven't had the pleasure to work with him as a sales engineer, we bring in an SE each time, right, Dom? We had Gurma last time. We have Spence Dog Hacklock this time, right? As his CTF name was. But what I want to call out is
Yes.
just how freaking like childlike passionate he is. And I don't mean that in a pejorative way. I mean, he's just so into it. He wants to do it. He worked his ass off. I'm sorry, that's one. I only get one a year. He worked his butt off. He absolutely built content. He ate, slept, and dreamed this play in production. If you read any of the Tiny Tina's adventures, that was him, right? I think Monet Banks was, maybe I can't say too much. It might come up next time. But he created storylines that you had to go unpack and realize that this one employee was stealing and this other employee was helping, and that kind of stuff by digging through the data and getting into it. And he spent a lot of time putting those together, but he also spent a lot of time like making sure he represented the products well, right? Like that he was going
Yeah.
to go up there. And so in this case, he's probably going back to one of the vendors going, hey, do I have this quite right? Are we still good? Is this good? Is this what I need to be doing? And he was just, I mean, just a huge part of this. So I'll just say that
You know,
there.
one
I
of
don't know if
one
I
of the harder things to coordinate as we got into the actual response, we detonated a ransomware, right? So, but we wrote a ransomware such that it gets past EDR. It was a very simple
Yep.
payload delivered through click fix. So there just wasn't a lot of behavior to detect. So it got past EDR. So we showed off the MDR team. So that coordination of like, hey, this is going to
Oh
happen
yeah.
at this time. It's going to look something like this. MDR needs to call. And it was really cool because we got MDR live on stage on the
That
phone.
was
We
pretty
got the
cool.
timing
I
right.
actually just
So
put him on speakerphone and
coordinating.
didn't even like,
Yeah.
like I just started letting him talk. I was like, all right, let's go to speakerphone. Let's do it. Anyway, sorry, Don, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And Spencer was put all that together, right? He met with Sophos, got through their SE training, worked through how we're going to configure the product. He did a great job, man.
Yeah, he did. Hats off to Spence Dog Hacklock. He was a star of the show for sure. What else we got? This was one of my favorite moments, Dom, because you were having to teach my safeguard breakdown. So this was a change of
Yes,
play here. What did you think
that was a
about that run?
challenge. Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta start presenting those more because I know them intrinsically, but talking about them is a different. And I've been over that. I don't know how many times, but I've never
Oh, at least a few
spoken
hundred.
about it
Yeah.
on a stage.
Yeah.
So
It was cool for me to
yeah,
watch because you're having to tackle this. And what is this, right? I'll just sum it up for people. Pax8 and Cyberattack have been working on a project to break down every safeguard into their smaller portions in their taxonomical elements so that we can then use those to say what products do towards safeguards. This is one of those times where we get to go showcase what Sophos does for 10.1, what WatchGuard does for 12.1 and 2, what, right? Each of these things, DefenseX, or in this case, and what they do in the 9s and the 10s. That kind of space, right? So it's actually trying to take our products and use science as the way we choose which products we're going to use. That's kind of the point. So, yeah, it was fun watching you squirm while trying to present them to me. That was a good time. All right, what else we got? All right, you can talk on this one. I don't even know what this guy's doing, but it looks stupid. I have no idea.
The CISO was real into golf. I mean, just obsessed. Wasn't good at it, but real obsessed with it. Like really passionate about being a golfer.
Mm.
And 4T is just terrible practices. We kept all of our customer credit cards on a spreadsheet. So I think you were trying to score some discount golf clubs.
I was stolen golf clubs from car, stolen golf clubs insurance, stolen golf club. First off, let's just point out how sketchy some of these top searches are, right? Like,
Yeah.
are that many people trying to commit insurance fraud? Like are we, how are we, I mean, what is going on here? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, for the fun of it, what was nice about the structure of this setup is we had 3 big screens and 5 laptops, which meant while y'all were teaching somewhere else, I could go distract on another screen. And so I did, right? And some of that was adding information to the storyline. Some of that stuff was maybe casting doubt on the CISO as being a good guy, right? And so that's what's so neat about these type of modalities is you can do stuff that happens and multiple things happening at once to try to shape someone's understanding of something. And so that was the fun of that, of just having the CISO be like playing around buying golf clubs with people's credit cards. I think I registered an account under Marissa. All right, keep the hits rolling. What do we have here? Oh, look at that ugly bastard. All right. I will tell you, I get super into it when I'm doing stuff, because day 2 in the morning, we had planned 3 breaks. How many breaks did we take in 3.5 hours, Dom? Do you remember?
Oh man, we went straight through to lunch. I mean, it was sit down and
I had
suddenly it was lunch.
I had people in the back like, hey, it's time for lunch. I'm like, no, it's not time for lunch. It's only, oh, shoot. Yeah, that's lunchtime.
Yeah, it was very suddenly lunch. I think Marissa had to call you on the banana phone to let you know we all needed
that's my favorite.
a mental break from the incident response.
I don't think we have a picture for this, but I want to bring it up. Some kid brought a little receipt printer, right? So just a little 3-inch wide printer. And he would just print off these tapes and then hand them to people. And one of me walks up to me and it says, "This phone's getting a little wet in my ear." And that was we were using this banana phone, and I'd eaten half the banana, so I had half of a banana stick into my ear that was wet. And I was like, man, my ear's getting pretty wet. I can't use this phone anymore. And the dude printed it out. It's now on my wall in my house, in my office of cool stuff wall. I printed out my little 3-inch sheet printer of this banana phone's getting wet in my ear. But I do tend to get into things, and I think that's part of it. You, me, Jason Slagle, which we'll get to here in a minute, like, we're so passionate about giving that oftentimes we just get lost in the moment of it and time just goes by. And that was one of those. So anybody that wanted a break on day 2 and didn't get one, I just want to apologize for Dom on his behalf. So sorry.
I don't apologize. We were learning. We were having a good time.
What else do we have? Oh man. Okay. This one blows people's minds. I put my mic in my beard. So what most people don't realize is what I do is I just take and put the first half of my beard up, and then I just grab this section, and then I just twist it around the mic and drop this back down. And every time an AV guy sees it, it just blows their mind, right? The guy's like, what are you doing? But what it does is, if you have a big beard and you put it over a mic, it makes like this sound, right? And so if you put it in the beard, however, it doesn't do that. And so these guys, I just watch them go. I put my beard in my mic and take it over my shoulder. Anyways, but we got a nice candid shot of Slagle sitting there behind you, and Kat and you, but that's cool. And Taylor, and maybe we add to this, like, we had Gabby last year, and Gabby had to do this the first time with nothing known, and we all built it together. Sometimes that's easier, right? Because you're there for the creation of it. You know all the things. Taylor stepped in for this role, and I've known Taylor for quite a while. And she's been at Pax8 quite a while too. But Taylor crushed it. You know, one of my worst traits is that I'm a visionary and not necessarily an integrator. I'm really bad at some of those things. Boy, she crushed it. Like, she is an integrator. She was on top of it. She thought about it. She had everything in control. And it was funny because she's also super secure. I'll give her credit. We didn't tell her to use BCC, and she actually used BCC for every email she ever sent. All right, I'll see myself.
Imagine that.
Sorry, too close. But anyways, all right, moving along. She crushed it for sure. And I guess since I have this here, go back one. Oh, that's great.
And she was just on top of it too. You know, we found an issue. We were getting ready on Monday. We found an issue in the deck.
Major.
And we're like, oh, we got to take care of that. And then we went to the bar, as one does.
Sure.
And I had a ping like, hey, remember you said you were going to take care of this. It's like, oh yeah. So like having that, someone who's just keeping track of that stuff and saying, hey, if this doesn't get done, you're going to look stupid. Like, so it was fantastic.
Taylor's definitely that human. And since we have Kat in the frame, my wife Kat is also in the frame. I would not be where I am, period. I mean, both literally and figuratively, if it wasn't for Kat. A, because I generally don't know where I'm going at any given time, and Kat's the only one that does. But also B, because sometimes when you have certain skills, you offset someone else's skills. And Kat is certainly that human for me. So if you've ever taken anything from anything I've ever done for you, anyone out there listening, it's probably as a result of that young lady right there, my wife. So I figured I'd shout her out. She's dutifully by my side at all times, even when the companies don't really care about her being there. I'm going to speak at a conference up in Canada here, which they're supposed to be my friendly neighbors, and they're wanting Kat to spend $4,000 to come when they've asked me to come and speak. So she's not welcome unless she spends $4,000, and I'm not paying.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, it's wild. So I just want to say thank you to Pax8 for always understanding that. I say always as an overarching statement, and for letting my wife be part of this mission, even though she's not paid or here under that case. So yeah, cool. All right, thank you, Kat. Next.
The big
So
Henry Tim and
I'm
his
gonna make that
Instacart, dude.
my new Facebook picture, man. That's my new jam. I didn't know that one existed. That's good. I had put my hand in a club cover. Yeah, that's what that is. That's a club head cover. Caddyshack club head cover. And I was using it as a puppet. I wanted to show them on HR where the club did me wrong. No, I tease. But it was so. What's so funny about this is we have a community of people around us that love us and care about this world. And one of those people is Henry Tim. Right, Henry Tim. I told him, hey man, like last minute, only like 2 weeks before the show, we didn't have an incident responder. One of the incident response companies that was going to do it was unable to help us. And so I said, hey, can you come do it? And not only does he say yes, I also had said, hey, you're driving from place in Illinois. Do you mind bringing me some golf clubs so I can be a golfing guy during the stage? And so I used his golf clubs. He bought me some junior golf clubs and a nice club head cover. So this was me just cutting up, I suppose.
And he's so resourceful because you had forgotten a mouse.
I forgot
and
my
we're
mouse
over there
too.
panicking, and Henry pulls out his phone, and like 10 seconds later, it'll be here in 8 minutes. Don't worry about it. Like,
It'll be here in 8 minutes. I got an Instacart. Also brought you 34 batteries in case it doesn't come with one. I'm like, I'm good. Thank you. I need one battery. I'm okay. But no, one of the things about this industry, and probably more specifically this channel, and even more specifically this section of the channel, like people care. There are people out there that care, that care about you, that care about me, that care about our outcomes, that care about our businesses. And I'm just freaking blessed to be in the space where I can put my hand into a, Caddyshack glove and try to educate people. So thank you, Henry Tim, for helping out. And Jason Slagle, we'll get back to that one too. I don't know if there's a picture of Jason in here, but Jason was our insider threat and he really helped as well. Let's go next. And you can see the gaffer tape coming off my shoulder because I'm sweating so much that the tape is no longer viable. Like its molecular bonds have released at this point. So this is probably the shot of me creating a challenge that nobody would solve because I'm stupid. So if anybody was wondering what this shot is, this is probably me creating that one crypto challenge that you hate. It was us building it. But this is kind of the state of it. Like one of the things about this type of an event, if you've ever planned or been part of an event like a traditional cybersecurity event, it's usually like prezzo, and most of the things you're dealing with for on stage and breaks for lunch and things. In this kind of scenario, we were flying the plane while building it, right? We had hands on 3 different laptops, adding code, fixing the CTF, finding out that we hadn't given a private key to something that we needed to give a private key to, right, Dom? In your case with that, you're like, I remember at one point you looked at me and go, this isn't solvable. And you had to do like a message or something. What was that? Do you remember?
Oh, we did a PGP. It was a decrypted PGP, and find the secret key that I saved somewhere stupid. But the secret key was encrypted with a password that I didn't give anyone. So,
so you find the key and then it doesn't work. Like, damn.
Yeah. So I just gave away the password. But
you had to put a message out that was like, if you're trying to solve this one, you might need this password. Like, okay, cool, thank you. But that is the fun of it, is you're building it as you go. And as people started doing well in certain things, we added new things. We sat around and changed it. And anyways, it was just, I guess the point I'm trying to make is when you're doing an event like this, if you go down this path, realize that it is orders of magnitude more complex and more reliant on failures and things you might make and cause real problems for the show. It's almost like a play that you're writing as you're finishing it in some ways. So, all right, what else we got? There's Kat. Oh, by the way, go back. Oh, that's a grin right there, bro. But go back. One of the things I also call out is Kat is sitting there doing the CTF right now. That's what she's face down doing in that. She got, I think, 11th in the CTF, which is pretty good for someone that's never done one before. Yeah, and in fact, our first and second place winners had never done it before too. That was pretty cool. All right, continue. Next. All right, Dom, what are you?
What was happening there?
What is going on here, bro?
I don't know. I was the audience heckler, so I was getting a lot of ideas from the audience around what the heck. It was fantastic. Like the participation was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there
Yeah.
was a lot of like only bananas comments and various other jokes that was like shouted on the stage. So I didn't come up with all the heckles. Like there were a lot of audience
They,
heckles in there.
they were coming from everybody else, and it was one of those like you just looked like a Cheshire grin there, Dom. It's really evil.
It was a good one. It had to have been a good
I
one.
imagine. I
This grinning
imagine.
is
All right, what
almost
else?
as hard as I found that abandoned laptop. You know,
Oh man, I did find 2 unlocked laptops during the show. That hurt my heart. All right, what else we got?
oh, that was pretty
What's
funny.
next? I look pretty content or pretty intently staring. Although I will point out, you can definitely see how cockeyed I am in this picture, right? Like it's pretty straightforward that you don't know which eye I'm looking at the screen with, right? Am I looking at the camera or am I looking at the screen? I don't know.
It's just an OPSEC
Um,
thing, you know. Like,
it's what it is. It's OPSEC. I'm just protecting what I'm looking at. All right, next. Okay, let's call it out. I think the other piece that we don't talk about a lot is just how many humans are behind these things, right? Like, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Pax8 employees responsible in just this picture alone with driving this event. And there's
yeah,
probably countless more behind the scenes, the shippers, the people that get the signs there and the booths and the people that set it up and all the management of these things. So just want to give a shout out to Vandit and Spence and everybody that came and was there to support us. Kayla, right? Now that I've mentioned people, I'm gonna screw up and not remember everybody's name because that's my life. But here we are. And so I would kind of close with this: of if you're watching this episode and you did not attend boot camp, please sign up for November. We're gonna do this again. Even if we've told you some things, I can promise you'll still get value out of this. It won't matter. We're going to change the story. We're going to do new things. We're going to do new vendors.
I mean, we're
And if you
already
have,
thinking about new infrastructure to destroy, so
oh,
it's
your
going to be
plan is a
different
good
for
one.
sure.
A good one. I saw what you and Slagle, somebody was talking about. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
and then if you are someone that has been to boot camp and you went, let me ask you to do this for me. Please take this episode and share it and comment on it on LinkedIn and help us get that awareness of the November boot camp and a little bit of an immersion into what we did today. And if you are interested in us doing some work on our CTF live as a show, let us know in the comments, right? If you want us to go break down some of these challenges and show you how to do them, we will take that as a suggestion of a show that we can do at a later time. So please interact and let us know what you want to see. Anything else, Dom?
I would say if there's a flag you want to solve, send us the flag, but we're going to change the variables so you don't already know the answer. But you know, if you've done a CTF or if there's a challenge that you think would be fun for people in the audience, send it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
really look also for those not storyline challenges that are good for doing, you know, after dinner or in the hotel room that are just kind of fun to play around with.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think the my favorite challenge I've ever done was a floppy disk. So you actually had to have a floppy disk. They hand you a disk, and you had to have a floppy disk reader.
Okay.
Then you read a wave file, and that wave file was the sounds of a modem. That then you have to play back into a 56K modem converter, and then extract the image file that was downloaded
Okay.
from it. So it was a blast, man. It was a blast. But yeah. Anyways, I digress. All right, I
Did
think
you
we've
have to
beat this.
buy the floppy disk reader if you didn't already have said
I,
floppy? Like you
so
had to put some
what
skin
the
in the game.
nerdiest statement I've ever made is I had one with me.
Okay. Fair enough.
So it worked out. It's my CTF
we,
kit.
need,
It's like,
we need to
because
do a
I'm going to need
bag
this
tour, you know.
1.44 here real soon, boys. I digress. Anyways, thank y'all for being on the
Uh,
show. I don't know if we want to close out with a play of the game or if we just want to wrap it up. All right, I'll try a play of the game. We can make this work. Okay, play of the game is this. If you're not finding ways to actually kinesthetically work as a practitioner in cybersecurity, that means adversarial attacks or blue team or investigations or incident response or digging into things and actually doing those things you don't do every day. It's not every day you deal with a patient that's bleeding out. So we have Resusci Annie and we have training dolls and we have things that let you get kinesthetically close and doing something to build muscle memory, to build understanding, to build a deeper level of immersion in the Dunning-Kruger principle, right? And the point is that when you're going to a event like this, a boot camp like what we put on, you need to immerse yourself, be there, be present, try to take away and learn, try to participate, raise your hand, answer questions, do the CTF, and walk away with some knowledge that is more than just what you read in a book. I can't tell you how many times I've read stuff in a book that I could never, ever apply, by converse to things I've applied that I've never read in a book. Go do things. Touch grass.
Game over.
I'm gonna stretch the show because I just realized that the man I forgot to mention, Jack Skinner. This event represents the second time he has allowed us to drag him into a city, make him be a fake MSP, and then torture him for 2 days by being the worst customer he's ever experienced. Maybe, probably not, but one of them. So Jack, you do a lot. You do a lot for this community, and I just want to call you out. And I really hope to do this with you again in November. That's our show. Like Matt said, do training like this. Do training that makes you get involved, that makes you push buttons, that makes you fail, that pisses you off a little bit. That training is going to stretch you outside your comfort zone and really make you learn something new. So thanks for watching the game. We'll see you next time.